Well, hey guys, it's great having you back to my channel, Carrie Foscato Design. And today I want to show you how to make a frame that I use for multiple different types of earrings. Multiple different types of jewelry items. It's just a basic frame that I use to put different stones in it for different looks, different color combinations. It can be different sizes based on how big your stones are going to be. It can even be different shapes. Look at this round. It's almost like a little pumpkin or something. Or this little squatty circle. I get really inspired by the shape of a stone, and I love doing framed stones for earrings and whatnot in jewelry. So this is one type of jewelry frame design that I really like to use for earrings. Believe it or not, I'm going to take this off my website. I was outside doing pictures. Oh no, I was treating it. I think I was treating it with the anti-tarnish coating that I put on there, and somehow the other one fell down in between the crack on my front porch. So I had to locate the matching one. So yesterday I was fooling around with some other combinations. This is blue quartz and mother of pearl. And you just take a 16 gauge, makes up the frame, and then a little 26 gauge to tie on whatever stones that you want to use. So I thought I would just show you how I make this. This is just so perfect. Take whatever stones you have. I don't have something to measure it by. I'm going to have to get that. They're about, a centimeter. I think this is like a centimeter here. And I just went based on the size of the stone. You change this width here based on whatever stone you're using. Like I changed the frame for this kind of stone. So get inspired by your stones and make the stone work for your piece. So I thought I would show you along. So I am using 16 gauge for the frame, 26 gauge, which I don't have on my table here, but with me. And I usually get maybe about 6 or so inches. I'm going to have to get a ruler because I didn't get one. Hold on just a second. And I guess before I go into this fully, I should show you tell you what I'm going to be using. Some regular, my favorite, little needle nose pliers, tiny little nose on that. These are great from Xuron. I think that's how you pronounce that. Some step bail makers, flush cutters, possibly a bench block if you want to do some hammering, a couple different hammers for hardening or flattening or making a texture. Ball peen hammer. So these are optional. You don't have to do that, but it does, like, I don't know if you can kind of see, there is a slight texture on the frame of this, just from a little bit of hammering, light hammering. It also helps to harden it up and give it some structure. So I usually get about 6 inches, roughly, something like that. The main point is, with getting a little extra, is that it makes it easier to maneuver the wire around your bail or whatever the tool that you're using. Once you get down to these like a little stub, it's super, super hard and you can't maneuver it. So what I'm going to do, move this bench block out of the way, a couple of these little things out of the way, put it down here, and I only need, if you look at this, the one side is going to be a shorter side, and then I'll need a little extra to come and make the loop and then do the wrapping around this. So I'll probably I've been using the centimeters because these little blue stones are about a centimeter. And I'll probably come around here at this like 7 mark. This is just kind of like eyeballing. You're going to be having leftover no matter where you put it on, as long as you don't do it down here. So I'll probably do around the 7, and I put right on my ruler. I hope you can see, I'm probably not going to be able to see, but if I go like this, I just use the ruler to line up my pliers. Pinch it right at the edge of the 7, that's where I grabbed it. And then use my fingers to push it up and get a nice 90-degree angle or thereabouts. There's always fiddling. Jewelry is nothing but fiddling. fiddling and making that wire do what you wanted to do. Command it. Okay, so I put it back on there, and then I'm going to go just butting up against this 6 centimeters measurement. I know you can't see it once I put my hand like this, but that's what I'm doing. Make sure it's on there good and tight. Take my finger and press and push. Sorry. Press and push. Get another 90-degree angle. This is to use this blue quartz because they are roughly around the 1 centimeter mark. Now, if you're using something bigger, you're going to want this gap to be bigger, whatever. But you also got to think that these are earrings, and I use gemstones. I don't use a lot of glass, or I don't use plastic or anything like that. So it's going to start gaining some weight. So you got to think about how big, how heavy you want your earrings to be. I am shaking this table. These, believe it or not, this looks like a big stone, but it's not heavy at all because it's not thick. So it looks like a big piece, but it's really is light. It's not going to be heavy on the ear. So, of course, mother of pearl is super light. These little blue quartz, so adorable, so cute. I love like the little inclusions, the little imperfections. You know, everything is beautiful. Imperfections are just fine. I love the beauty of a gemstone and the imperfections. So, and for this design, you can make it as long as you want. I mean, dude, you could make this thing 3 inches long if you wanted, and just fill that with all different kinds of little stones or little seed beads using your 26 gauge wire. But I make them about 1.25 inches. So I'll take my little starter frame here, put it on my ruler, my Smokey the Bear ruler that I've had since I was a little girl. Get my little needle nose, super tiny, super wonderful. Stick them on there about, oh, let's see. I need to be able to see because I like to start with the shorter end first. I don't know. It's just a preference. And what I'm doing is I'm butting it up right against that 1.25 inches. If you can see where I got it. So when I put my hand like this, you know what I'm doing. Hold it real tight. And these pliers are so great. I know it looks like I've got it bare on the tip. They're going to fall out. These pliers, you get a nice firm grip, is not coming out. They are just fantastic. And then, let me do it this way again. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Get on there. Go to this 1.25 inches mark. Hold it very firmly, and then bend. And then you've got a nice little frame to start, and you just, tweak it. It's all bending and tweaking and getting it just right. And then when you're hammering it and you're doing all this other stuff, it gets all out of whack too. So it's a give and take process. And it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be machine made. This stuff is handmade. There's going to be little imperfections, and a lot of people enjoy the handmade imperfections. That's what makes it unique, one of a kind, and we should never be trying to hide our imperfections. That's what makes us unique. That's what makes the earrings or the piece of jewelry unique. So what I'm going to be doing is bending these 2 arms, one short, one long, because remember I said this one is just the little neck, that this one is going to be making the loop and the wrap. So I'm going to find the spot on here so that when I bend it up, that this little neck, this arm, is going to be relatively in the middle. And I'm telling you, this takes a little practice. I don't think I got that correct. It's not super in the middle, but hopefully it won't matter. Okay, I'm going to flip it. Get a good little grip on there so that when I bend this arm up, it also will be in the middle. It takes some finagling, and it's never like perfect. I don't know what it is, but come on now, get up there. All right. So I know it looks a little janky right now, but it'll work out. Now, okay, we've got extra. I used it, kept it long so I can maneuver it, but we're going to trim it down. This is going to be like a little neck but this is going to loop. It's going to make a loop and then wrap around. So what is that? What is that? Is that like an eighth? About an eighth. About an eighth of an inch. I leave this little neck. Save my piece for melting down. Now, this is where the stepped bale makers comes in. Okay, so can you hear my rooster? Okay, second bale. I'm going to stick it right in this little notch right here. And oh my gosh, I'm bending the other one. Hold on, let me fix that just a little bit because I started bending that one too. I don't want to bend that one. Stick that right in there. Bend it backwards. And you're already set up. At this point, you're already set up for the very next move. This might be slightly too long. I don't know. I think I'm going to trim it just the tiniest hair. Put your finger on it so it doesn't go flying. Okay, remember I told you you're already set up. Get it on there and then hold it tight because it's going to want to spin. And then wrap it around the first one. We bent it back with the second step. Now we're going to start wrapping around the very first one, the smallest one. Now, since we're in this first position, we're going to turn it up like this. Okay. All right, got that? Take this. This is why we did extra. See, now we have a handle. Hold the pliers very tight. You get some hand strength in it at the same time. Okay. Now we've made the loop. Now we're going to go into the wrap portion. Take your whatever flat nose pliers that you have. These are just wonderful. You know I say it every single video. Because they're just tiny to get in these tiny places. Hold tight. Take the end and then just wrap. I usually just do about 2 wraps. You know, bring it around to the back and trim. But you can make it as much as you want. You can, you know what I'm saying? It's not quite in the middle. It always takes some finagling. Okay, so I pushed around to the back. I'm going to take my flush cutters, same company as these, and I'm going to try to make a cut. I don't know how to explain it. Kind of just right in the middle of this loop, and then the end, I'm going to nestle down into that little opening. You'll see what I mean. Get your little pliers out. Get right on the end here. And just nestle it down in there. And then when you get your buffers and your polishers out, you can buff that little, well, I can't even feel it, but you can buff that all down, make it all seamless, glorious. See how it's a little off to the right here? Stick it back on your small step that you made your loop with, and then just bend it back a little bit. It's all making that wire do what you're telling it to do. And it's not going to be absolutely perfect. That's the glory. That's the beauty of handmade jewelry. The main point, I will say, the one thing that you cannot fudge on is that they need to be the same length from the very top of your loop or the inside of the inner loop and then to the bottom, because you don't want to have one earring's this long and the other one's this long. They do need to be the same length. So that's the one place I would say, you know, really, really try to get it as equal as you can. Use all your tools, whatever you need to do to get it to do what you want it to do. Now, at this point, I would put it on my bench block and I would flatten it out. I'm not going to do all that because I'm just not doing that for this one. Flatten it all out with this end, and then I would come back with this to put a little texture on it. So get yourself one of these and a couple little hammers. But what I will do is I'm going to use the nylon side of this little hammer that I picked up at Harbor Freight and just do a little work hardening. You would be amazed at how just a little hitting with this nylon makes a difference. Just to give it a little structure. And then what I will do is pick out my little stones, probably some more of these blue quartz, and you take your 26 gauge. Hold on a second, let me get it. And I got the 26 gauge, and I've been saying blue quartz, and it's not blue quartz, it's blue chalcedony. Anyway, this is what I'll get my little out, and with my 26 gauge, let's go ahead and wrap one on there. Okay. You can do, oh no, that one's got, no. You need to inspect. Sometimes too much cracking and imperfection isn't good. This one looks interesting. It's got a little bit of an inclusion there. It's kind of neat looking. Let's go with this one. Let's try it on. I'll show you what I do. So I'm going to take roughly, and this is just a guess, and just to give you an idea of exactly what I'm using, I roughly get about 6 inches to attach my stone. That is not blue quartz, as I've been saying multiple times. Blue chalcedony, cute, interesting little imperfections in there. I just love that. Makes it such a interesting little part of the design. Oh, I don't put it on yet. You can if you want. You can go ahead and put your stone on there, but it makes, I find it just a little more something else to worry about when you're trying to anchor your 26 gauge wire to the to your 16 gauge wire. And all I'm doing is wrapping. This 26 gauge is so pliable and wonderful. You don't need pliers, but I will show you when I'm going to use them. Tight spots, when you really need some pull. Okay, on to the other side. I'm going to attach the side, and as you can see, that is a pretty tight fit. This is where you're really going to want some type of needle nose pliers. Redirect that in there, grab it on there, and it's like kind of flossing a tooth. You're just going to, and this really gives a nice tight fit. It's just like flossing a tooth. It'll slide right in those places where you can't get it just by pushing it or wrapping it. And it'll slide right over into that little spot. I'll do one more for good measure. I can't remember how many I did on the other side. Round. Oh, looky there, it's the same. Now, you can see that they're not level, whatever, and this is where the little fine-tuning and little bits. Oh, you know what I did? Carry. Okay, so this is what you do not want to do. This is a good little example to show you what would happen. Okay, so when I came out this hole, I started making my loops upwards. When I came out this little hole, I went downwards, and now I'm cattywampus. You ever heard of that word, cattywampus? That's a southern word, cattywampus, and we don't want that. So when you go and do this, when you do your wrappings, make sure that you're going, either down or up. Whatever you did the first, do it on the other side so it matches. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but that's not the way I want it. I want it to be, like I did on this one. I did double ones on that. That doesn't apply. Don't look at that. Don't look at that one. Go in the same direction so that when you get it on here and you get your product all finished, your item all finished, all the loops are going in the same, down or up. All right, so that's the only other thing I would say. Then take your little flush cutters. We're going to trim and trim. Take your flat nose and pinch it nice and tight. Now, I know this is cattywampus looking, but now you know what happens if you do that. We don't want that. All right, so, and then you can just keep fiddling and make sure it's all in there nice and neat. But that's the gist of how you can make a frame any size based on the size of your stone and make some earrings, make a pendant for a necklace or whatever. Like this one, I put some mother of pearl and echoed my blue chalcedony. Here's another frames. I haven't put a stone in there yet, but these are, I can't remember if this is 10 millimeters, what millimeters this is. It's meant more than that. It's not more. It might be 10 millimeters, but anyway, and put something in there as a frame, kind of like a smaller version of this. So I just love doing these frames. You can just put in whatever you would like. So that is what you can do to make earrings or a pendant. Loved having you along. See you back next time.